Hi, my name is Alexa Vogenas, and I research the concept of self-efficacy and why it is such an important factor influencing academic achievement. I analyzed a range of classroom and environmental variables which currently limit self-efficacy development, as well as how teachers can modify these conditions. By synthesizing literature from mastery learning, trauma-informed teaching, and anti-racist education, I created a theoretical framework for teachers to effectively promote self-efficacy for all students, thereby promoting student motivation, engagement, and achievement.
My name is Alex Warehouser, and my project will investigate Common Ground High School, an urban charter school in New Haven, Connecticut. The school has adapted its mission and curriculum in 3 major phases since its founding, attempting to balance its environmental and social justice focus with Connecticut state academic standards. Findings from interviews with administrators, teachers, and students are placed into the context of relevant literature about environmental education, the lack of diversity in environmentalism, place-based learning, culturally responsive environmental pedagogy, and the state-mandated academic standards. While they did not explicitly root their school model or curricular development in the literature base, Common Ground's themes and values share many similarities with what experts have found.
Hi, my name is Brian Dolan, and for my capstone, I tried to figure out what scientists mean when they call their work beautiful, and then use that to make a new kind of physics curriculum. By scouring speeches, memoirs, and academic reviews, I was able to come up with 3 categories to account for most of these aesthetic moments. And for each of them, I designed a physics lesson plan that integrates art from the Yale Art Gallery. I hope this capstone can motivate students who are interested in math and physics and inspire those who maybe weren't so interested in it before.
Hi, my name is Carrie Menino. My capstone focused on the lasting effects of separation trauma for children who are forcibly separated from their parents during or after immigration. I researched attachment theory, as well as trauma presentation and intervention in young children. Because quality mental health care is often inaccessible for children in these circumstances, I looked into accessible media resources and developed and filmed short videos that address separation trauma, model language for children to talk about their experience and emotions, and share simple breathing exercises to help mitigate symptoms and allow children to feel more in control.
My project argues that today's tribal and public schools in Standing Rock are largely the same as the boarding schools of the past. Through our poor test scores and treatment of Lakota as an extracurricular, we fail on both fronts, Indigenous and Western. We want to create a system that is collaborative rather than competitive, is with us rather than for us, is personalized rather than standardized, is traditional and cultural rather than Western, and is healing rather than harming. We will do that through Lakota and not English.
Hi, my name is Imani Butler, and for my Joint Education Studies and African American Studies thesis, I explored how fostering imagination in the classroom is essential to helping Black children build strategies of resistance against systems of injustice. I hope that my capstone helps show people interested in education research about children of color that African American studies and other ethnic studies programs are absolutely essential to arriving at radically humane and holistic solutions to many of the problems traditional reforms have failed to solve for.
Hi, my name is Donya Feng. My senior capstone explores the ways that Western knowledge structures maintain hegemonic control in the classroom, thereby perpetuating various modes of settler colonial violence. I think alongside Native scholars, as well as with my own educational experiences, to call for a cessation of this mode of violence and for educators to allow other knowledge structures, specifically Native ones, to exist in their classrooms.
My name is Emil Friedman. I'm a senior in Solomon, and for my capstone project, I conducted a literature review on school turnaround and school leadership. I found that principal longevity is a key factor in the success of a turnaround effort, and that specific policy interventions should address the pressing need for experienced school leaders in turnaround situations. Specifically, principals should have past context-specific knowledge and should be incentivized to stay in their role for at least 3 years.
I'm Hannah Proman. My capstone studies the Yale-affiliated daycare center, Calvin Hill. It opened in 1970 to provide affordable daycare to union dining hall workers and maintenance staff. Today, Calvin Hill serves almost no union employees. My project investigated why. I completed interviews, a historical review of board minutes, and surveyed union employees. I found that the mission had evolved to focus on high quality and economic diversity. Also, many union members did not know about Calvin Hill or its sliding scale, but many were now interested. This is optimistic news for potentially reintegrating union members into the Calvin Hill community, although it would be challenging.
Hi, my name is Jane Buckley, and for my capstone, which is called Reimagining Consent Education in the United States, I wrote an original children's book that aims to help dismantle rape culture from an early age. To inform the content of my book, I combine child development research with research on rape culture, and specifically, I hope that the book teaches children in an age-appropriate way to both recognize and feel empowered to confront the parts of our culture that perpetuate sexual violence, thus creating an anti-rape culture or a culture of respect.
Hi, I'm Joy. My project investigates how students learn to write mathematical proofs, and in particular, how they use inductive learning in this process across different proof components and aspects of the curriculum. I also sought to understand how the inductive teaching method impacts course culture and student behavior more broadly. My project highlights student voices and student narratives because in a field that sees so much dropout, understanding these experiences and the implications they have for pedagogy is critical to making mathematics more accessible.
My name is Lana, and for my capstone, I focused on why parents in Germany are still fighting for an outdated tracking system, despite research which shows that their system is detrimental to student learning and societal cohesion. Through a discourse analysis of online debates over proposed tracking reform, I found that parents were most concerned about lower achieving students hindering the development of higher achieving students. Germany serves as an example of how reformers must anticipate parental resistance to detracking and engage with it productively.
Hi, I'm Mahima Kumara, and my capstone project is called Choir as Community, an Inclusive Anti-Racist High School Curriculum. In my project, I designed a new kind of high school choral music curriculum that incorporates a diversity of repertoire, emphasizes discussion and contextualization of the repertoire, and amplifies student voices. My goal was to design a usable resource for teachers that could allow choral music in schools to really meet its potential as a unique space to foster inclusive community, encourage community engagement through music, and apply anti-racist pedagogies.
My interdisciplinary capstone project examined the ways in which the federal government can intervene in the childcare market in an attempt to improve access to quality childcare throughout the United States. I propose firstly that the federal government can incentivize state and local policymakers to reform their zoning laws and promote an increase of childcare options in regions where choice is limited, and secondly, funding professionalization of the childcare workforce to increase their wages, training, and support. Most importantly, I conclude that meaningful change would require federal investment at a level that we as a nation have historically been unwilling to make.
My name is Miriam, and for my capstone, I looked at the impact of critical education by interviewing recent graduates of American Studies. I found that the graduates intellectualized both their learning about things like racism and capitalism and the social justice-y careers they chose after graduation, using words like interesting to describe both. The graduates converted their interest in injustice into careers, thus accumulating social and financial capital. I hope that my capstone helps people to make educations like American Studies better oriented toward social change.
Hi, my name is Nadia Balderas, and for my Education Studies capstone, I designed a school exclusively for Latinx children for my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. This school combines bilingual education, culturally sustaining pedagogy, race and ethnic studies, community-based schooling, and ethnic and racial teacher representation in order to provide Latinx students with an education that both acknowledges how public schools in the United States have perpetuated systemic racism and brings the entire Latinx community closer to liberation.
My capstone uses the context of New York City's contested school integration initiatives to examine how progressive movements can be responsive to the unique positionality of Asian Americans. I draw upon race theory and critical pedagogy to design a workshop for Asian American identifying students on the issue of school integration, in collaboration with the youth-led organization Integrate NYC. This project aspires to complicate the Asian American narrative around school diversity and serve as a resource for Asian American progressive youth activism.
Hi, my name is Jack Lattimore, and for my capstone I analysed and critiqued value-added modelling, a method for evaluating teachers based upon how much they add to students' standardised test scores. I conducted this research via 4 different lenses: political, quantitative, case study driven, and comparative. I ultimately conclude that value-added models have significant flaws and should only be considered a minor part of a comprehensive and holistic teacher evaluation system.
My capstone analyzes the teaching practices of Audre Lorde, Toni Cade Bambara, June Jordan, and Adrienne Rich. These 4 women all taught remedial writing in the SEEK program at the City University of New York in the 1960s and 70s. Their radical pedagogy, including assignments relevant to students, accepting work in a wide variety of media, and including students in decisions about the structure of their courses, offers unique insight into the 1969 student protests to create Black and Puerto Rican studies alongside other reforms to university power.
Hi, my name is Selena. My capstone project proposes locally specific history education as one way to improve youth civic engagement. History education can improve empathy, sharpen critical analysis skills, and inspire change-making. Place-based education can connect youth to their community and empower them as active participants. Capitalizing on the strengths of history and place-based education, I created locally specific materials for teaching history. The hope of my project is that place-based history education will inspire students to connect with their community's past, equip students to contextualize their present community, and mobilize students to make change, starting in their hometowns.
Though it might not look like it, this is one of the most pivotal classrooms we enter in our lives. The doctor's office is a site of critical learning, problem solving, and revelation for physicians and patients alike. Mainstream medical instruction has integrated ideas from an education theory framework known as cultural competence in order to reduce racial disparities in care. However, this capstone uncovers a history of cultural competence tied to early racist assumptions of marginalized people in medicine that complicate the framework's use in medical education today.
Hi, my name is Susie, and for my senior capstone, I combine theory and practice to perform a critique of positive behavioral supports and interventions, a federally funded behavioral management program. By using political and critical theory, including work from Marxist, Black feminist, anti-capitalist, and anti-colonial educational theorists, I was able to redescribe PBIS and subject it to new questions about how it might contribute to the building of American civic subjects and national character.